Economic Troubles After World War I, The Great Depression by Fred, Steve, Mo, and Dom. This graph represents the troubles that led up to the Great Depression. In the 1920s, an economic crisis began in the United States and spread to the rest of the world, specifically Europe, and this was called the Great Depression. After the war ended, the demand for raw materials and agricultural products dropped. This helped lead to massive inflation or the rapid rising of prices. The better technologies and factories led to massive overproduction. Farmers and miners earned less, so they didn't buy as much. A crisis in finance occurred in the management of money matters, including the circulation of money, loans, investments, and banking. Few saw the danger of the crash and collapse. Because of this, interest was raised in 1928 to 1929, and people started to think twice about investing. Then, the stock market crashed, and there was no money for investments. The Great Depression has officially begun in 1929, bringing decreased production. Then in 1931, the Federal Reserve increased the interest rate. Because of this, people invest less, more businesses closed, and banks failed, and now millions were out of work. But the U.S. wasn't the only one that suffered. Germany suffered due to economic collapse because of the war payments. Western powers like Britain and France attempted to aid the U.S., but they were also suffering as well. All the countries seemed desperate for a solution to the Depression. They all came up with methods to solving it, but they all failed. By 1931, 1 in every 4 workers were unemployed. Then the socialist Leon Trotsky tried to solve the labor problems, but strikes against him brought him down, and the country was lacking good leadership. In 1932, Franklin D. Roosevelt was elected for president. He argued that the government needed to take more active role in the Great Depression. Then in 1934, winds picked up, carrying away valuable soil from the farmers who grew the country's food. This was called the Dust Bowl. The Dust Bowl led to massive migration from the towns that were hit. Because of this, the government became more involved in everyday lives of the citizens. Franklin D. Roosevelt came up with a New Deal, a series of economic programs to benefit the country. They did things like build canals and dams, build national parks. This ultimately failed, and due to its failure, the people lost faith in the government for solving their problems. This graph below represents the unemployment in the United States in green, Great Britain in yellow, and Germany in red.